Today, we have a wonderful guest. But before we dive in, take a breath. You're about to meet someone whose voice, energy, and heart have a way of making everything feel just a little bit lighter.
Hey friend, it's good to see you and share some time today. Hey friend, your feelings matter, and I'm so glad you came this way. Rain or shine or winter snow, together we will grow.
You know, when we say I am enough, it means I can be loved exactly as I am. You can be loved exactly as you are. And I feel good sharing that message, remembering that for myself and having that collective experience.
I am enough. Mm-hmm. You are enough. Mm-hmm. We make space for all of us. Mm-hmm.
I am enough. You are enough.
Are different.
It's a simple line,
We are different,
and some may
we're
snicker at it.
the same, and we're
But when Miss Katie sings it, gently and honestly, for a moment,
that's great.
everything slows down.
Hooray!
And that's the kind of presence she brings.
Hooray! Hooray!
It reminds me of another voice many of us grew up with, Mr. Rogers. And not because she imitates him, but because she shares his radical belief that children deserve to be seen, heard, and taken seriously. And today, you're going to hear her story. I'm your host, Justin Ahrens, and on this episode of Design Of, I sit down with Miss Katie Sings, also known as Katie Norgard, a musician, teacher, and storyteller whose songs are reshaping how kids experience music, culture, themselves, and the world around them. From a living room video filmed on the first day of lockdown using a box of rice as a shaker to creating an album mixed in Dolby Atmos, Katie's journey is full of authenticity, empathy, and deep creative conviction. In this conversation, you'll hear the story behind her anthem, I Am Enough, why she believes representation is a responsibility, and how her calm, intentional presence is helping thousands of kids and their parents feel a little more seen. Let's begin.
I am enough.
This is a great day. Do you know why today's a great day?
Because we're doing a podcast episode together.
Yes. And I already know, since I get to be with you, I'm already going to feel better at the end of the show.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's so sweet to say.
Yeah.
I'm really glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
One of the things I love about podcasting, and especially when I get to do it with people I deeply admire and love, is just to share their story and journey. And so thank you, Katie, for doing that. And let's just get right into it. What do you think?
Sounds great.
All right. So I want, if you could, take us, the listeners, to the first moment that you realize music could be more than just fun. It could actually be healing.
I noticed that it was healing for me at a young age. And I think partly that was because I grew up in a family that loved music, but didn't force me to do music in any particular way. I experienced it as a creative expression that wasn't something that had to be like, I have to practice the same notes over and over again. My family had a little box of a recorder and rhythm sticks and shakers. And when I was really young, I would just go in there and I would explore. And we had a piano at the house, and I would just play whatever I wanted, and got a guitar when I was in middle school and started to write my own music. And that just felt, it opened up a whole new world of being able to feel something on a deep level, even if it was a thought that I'd been having, but to do a deep dive and pull it apart and experience it in a bigger way. That was such a powerful thing for me as a young person. And then when I started to notice how it connected with other people and how it made them feel, I got to unlock a few different angles of this experience that I was having, which was so beautiful.
Oh, that is so wonderful. I have to go back to something that's really frustrating and annoying if the answer is the way I think it's going. Was music, playing an instrument and everything else, did that come super easy? Like some people, it just is a natural thing. And I'm not saying easy, like even natural musicians, they have to work at it. I'm not implying it's just, pick up a guitar and start playing. But it feels like music and just the musicality, and we've only known each other for a few years, is just like all around you.
Yeah, I think there is a level in which it was my innate musicality was appreciated and was let loose to roam free. And I don't even know if I think, yes, I am musical because of something like deep within me. But I think beyond that, it was more that I wasn't told to not do it or I have to do it a certain way, or I was really able to play with it. And I think because it wasn't stifled and because it wasn't meant to fit into something rigid, it just felt like playing in the way that you play with anything you're excited about. And so I think there are certain things that are very difficult for me, whether it's playing certain chords or certain techniques. I just really strum very basically on the guitar. I don't do anything too complicated, but I think the music does feel like something that kind of just comes through me and is something I'm able to access quite quickly.
I just admire that so much. And my statement earlier, let me qualify it. It's something that I've always deeply wanted. I've always wanted to be a great singer. And if you were to ask me, have you worked on any of these things? The answer would be no. So I also realized that part of the equation is my lack of commitment. I love that it was fostered in you and you chose it. Even more so is what it sounds like really was the key.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to say, I did choose it. And I think there was a lot of space to choose it in the way that I wanted to. And I would do things like the school showcase and I would write songs. Yeah, I wasn't ever I was never the lead in the school play or the front person of a band. It wasn't something where I felt like people on the outside were coming to me saying, you must be put in the spotlight. If anything, I played a napkin in Beauty and the Beast. Like I was in the background.
But you were a heck of a napkin, let's be clear.
That's absolutely correct. But I think I just loved it so much that I kept on going to it because it ignited something in me. It was so life affirming, more so than it was something that I did to get praise.
When I have the opportunity to create something, whether it's a design I'm proud of or a piece of art, the pure reward is the act of doing it. And then if I love it, that's great. And then if someone else loves it, that's sprinkles on a sundae. Is that similar to how you approach it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think if I had started creating music, especially the music that I do now for children, if I had done that with the goal of trying to be famous or trying to be accepted in a certain way, I don't think I would have created the type of music that I created, at least initially. I think that goalpost keeps moving because if you're outsourcing that approval, it's hard to ever feel satisfied. And so it really does have to come from an internal place.
Then that's a great segue to a question I was thinking about. In my car, I crush it. It's Grammy level singing, right?
I believe you.
No, but did you grow up feeling seen in media or music that was around you? Could you see yourself doing that? Or how did that impact you when you're younger?
I think I was really trying to find my voice at a young age. I grew up when Britney Spears was like a big pop culture person. And I don't think I realized how much when I was really young, I was trying to sound like her. And it was something that my dad pointed out where he's use your real voice. And I had no idea what he meant. And now as an adult, I understand it more. I was affecting my voice to sound like this other person. And so I think there was a definitely a period of trying to see what fit, trying different styles. But as for music in general, I always really gravitated towards the folk tradition and that sort of style. I don't know if I would say that as a young person, I saw myself in music, just because most of the people that are well known in those spaces are not young in the way that I was young. But I think I connected with some of the things that they were either experiencing or talking about, even if it was, sometimes I find that even when people are being extremely specific about their experience, there's a way that you're able to access it, even if you haven't had that shared experience. But that feeling of disappointment or embarrassment or excitement or whatever it might be was something that I felt I could tap into and that felt exciting for me, even if I didn't know exactly what they were talking about.
So let's go to Miss Katie Singh. So what gave you the courage to begin that, or start to stir wherever, you feel most energy around during such an uncertain time? Because if I have my research, you started Miss Katie at the height of COVID. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I put up my very first video March 15th, 2020, which was the day Chicago went into lockdown. And prior to that, I was working at the Old Town School of Folk Music, which is a really incredible institution. And I was doing family music classes. And when we learned that we would be going into lockdown, we originally at the time thought it would only be 2 weeks. And so while I was stuck at home, I find that the ideas that come from deepest within me happen when I'm bored. And so I had a lot of space and time, and I wasn't leaving my house. And in that moment, then I was led to something that felt exciting or interesting. And I thought, there are these kids that are in my classes and they don't have our routine of this music class that we do once a week. And I know how important routine is for children. And so what if I just make a 20-minute video, just sitting, playing the guitar, and I'll upload it to YouTube. And so families will have something to watch while they're stuck at home. And so I was only planning on doing one video. And even the reason why I picked the name Miss Katie Sings was because Miss Katie Music was already taken. And I was like, I guess I'll just pick something else. I wasn't thinking what is going to be this long-term brand and how can I strategize the best way to present this in a shiny, polished way. It was, I am taking the next step. And at that time, it was, I'm going to put up one video and I hope it will be helpful. And then what happened is it circulated and lots of random families were searching for resources during that time and found my videos and found my video and said, can you make more videos? And I realized that there was such an opportunity here to explore making music for children and in the way that I wanted to make it, which is really fun for me.
No, that's super fun. So let's just talk about a little specific. So you put the video up on, would you say which day again? March 15th. Yeah. And that first video, two things. What was the subject and how many views did you get over, I don't know, the first couple weeks?
It was just a 20-minute sing-along of children's songs.
Hello, friend, glad you're here. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Hello, friend, glad you're here. Glad you're here this morning.
You can even wave hello to me, Miss Katie.
Hello, Miss Katie.
There were no cuts in the video at all. And in fact, it was me at home sitting on the ground, and I didn't have a drum or a shaker at my home, even though those were things that I'd used in the classroom space. And so I used a box of rice that I had, and I used a little jar, and I made a shaker. In the video, this is what I'm using for my drum. This is what I'm using for my shaker. It was very much just start with what you have. And it was me singing songs for 20 minutes, playing the guitar. I'm trying to remember how many views it got in the beginning, I had no subscribers and it was my first video. So I wasn't comparing it really to anything else, but
it's more of a curiosity.
Thousands and thousands of views.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it has over 200,000 views. But in the beginning, it was more just people were finding me from it and then reaching out over email or sending messages, and it was connecting with them.
What I think is absolutely lovely is the fact that your Miss Katie Sings, because Miss Katie's music was gone. You were going to do music, but you didn't have your normal instruments. You used stuff around home. Looking back at that is gorgeous from a brand standpoint and super authentic, which is why I think it resonates so well. So Thank you, universe, for putting those in place.
Yeah, I do feel some of what was refreshing to people about my videos is that it was very minimal, and I wasn't, even my energy in the videos isn't what you'd normally find in kids' videos. I wasn't really upbeat and excited, and I wasn't using bright, flashy colors. And
wait,
for
you
the
just went with the Miss Katie voice right there. You just shifted.
Did I?
Yeah, you're just like, hey, it's bright and exciting.
I was trying to show it wasn't that sort of an energy. It was very calming and relaxed and slow. It was very slow. And I am someone who grew up on Mr. Rogers, and I felt that was something that I loved, that kind of music and that sort of approach to talking to the camera and talking to children. And a lot of the people who reached out were people who said, this reminds me of that sort of style. And I really like that.
I'm definitely going to come back to Mr. Rogers. But before we do, what you had said, you were part of it was you were bored and that sort of thing. And that's why you started it. So what happened in that space to make you take the leap? That was a purposeful connotation there, to keep going.
I have a inner voice that I sometimes can push down, and sometimes I just feel it really deeply. It's this gut instinct or this gut voice. I remember feeling a little scared because I stumbled upon this thing that I really loved, and I felt so alive doing this, making music and creating videos. But I recognized that there was so much uncertainty in the world. There was so much uncertainty in my job. I was actually at a point of transition, and I was planning on leaving kids music and that world and moving more into a project manager role. It was a job I had accepted right before this happened. And so I had this moment of feeling, wait, I think this is really what I want to do. And I feel so drawn to it in so many ways, but I don't know if it's going to work out. And I recognize that I'm following something that sounds exciting and fun and life affirming, but I don't know if it's practical. And I think there was just a strong inner knowing. And I was able to, in the kind of limbo period of still working part-time, doing virtual classes through the school, where I had a little bit more space to just keep exploring this and keep coming back to it and seeing, is this something that could really fly? And even from the beginning, even in the fear, I felt very sure of myself. And I think I also just care about living a life that I want to live. And so I was just thinking, is this the truest, most beautiful way of getting to spend my time? And if it is, then I'm going to do everything I can to make that happen.
I feel cozy. I feel safe. I feel comfy inside this little space. I feel cozy. I feel safe. I feel comfy inside this little space.
Gosh, I'm so happy I know you. The highlight of my day right now. This is great. You said your work is about kids feeling respected and empowered. And why are those cornerstones for you?
I have learned that so much of what shapes us as adults is how we felt as children and what things are healed or unhealed. There's so much that comes from when we're young, and even just our inner child now being such a big part of why we feel certain things made me realize that this is just such important work. It's important work for children to develop that strong foundation of self-love and agency and all of those things, and how it shapes us as adults. When I watch Mr. Rogers now as an adult, I'll cry. I'll feel so moved, even though I, in many ways, had a really positive childhood. But just because we're in a society that tells us that we're not enough or we need to change to be loved and all these different messages, I think we could all use that kind of loving care that takes children seriously. I sometimes, when I watch children's media, I don't often feel like that is the approach. And I think children are great. I think they have such great ideas, and I think they deserve to be taken seriously.
Agreed. So I know, watching the Mr. Rogers documentary and reading so much about him, he put so much time and research into his work. And so for you, how do you approach being like developmentally appropriate and emotionally deep and still engaging? Is that a gut thing? Is there gut science and art there? How do you approach that?
Definitely do a lot of research when I'm thinking about certain topics or certain songs that I want to write. Sometimes I'll hear of a child telling me something that had happened or something that they were having a hard time with or something that they loved, and it'll give me an idea for a song. But then usually before I write that, I'll read, I'll do some research, I'll talk with people that I trust in the space and learn a little bit more about, what's helpful for children in this. So I do take my time with creating songs in that way. But as for being engaging, I think at least when I'm on video, I care more about being genuine and authentic, because I think kids can really feel that. I think they can watch and feel like this person cares. I had a family tell me recently that when their child gets upset, that he'll say, I'm going to run away to Miss Katie's house because she won't yell at me. She'll listen to me. And it was such an interesting thing to hear. And I'm glad that kids feel they can sense that care and that it feels real. But I do recognize that I'm Katie and I'm Miss Katie, but Miss Katie is, of course, a character that is really close to me, so similar to me, obviously, and comes very authentically from me. It is a part of me. And I do want to be alert when I'm making my videos. I want to make sure that I'm being thoughtful about how I'm coming across to the camera. And that's something that I've cared about more over time. Just thinking, how can I present well to the camera?
I don't want to run over what you just said. So when you got that feedback, how did that make you feel?
I felt a few things. In some ways, I felt so honored that this child feels really loved and cared for by me, even as someone who is not really in relationship with them in terms of spending a lot of time together, and I'm not their neighbor in our community, but that they could get that sense of care from how I talk to the camera and the songs that I sing. I recognize it's complicated because I'm a human too, and I get frustrated. I have all the feelings that everyone has, and I'm sure also for caregivers that can be challenging too, where we can't afford to just seem perfect all the time. We're in this messiness, and so I do think there's an interesting balancing act sometimes of wanting to feel real and human, and I make mistakes, and letting that be something that is clear, but also wanting to really provide a lot of positive, loving reinforcement. And because of my work and what I'm choosing to put out in the world, I do get to be as thoughtful about whatever kind of content I want to create.
So another one of my favorite parts of podcasting is doing research. And so the last couple of days I've been watching your videos, and I'm telling you, they just make me happy. So thank you for that gift. But what's your process for writing a song, I'm Enough, which I love, or the Chinese dumpling song, which is awesome? What do you feel when you're making it?
With any song that I write, I have to like it myself. Like, I can't just write a song that I think kids will like. I want to be able to enjoy singing it. I want to feel like I connect with the melody. With I Am Enough, it's interesting because it is a very short song. There are only a few lines and everything repeats.
I am enough. I am enough. You are enough. You are enough.
And when I first wrote it, I showed it to my partner, to Victor, and he was like, it feels really slow. And I was, I know, but there's something about it that I like it. I like it being slow. I like it being thoughtful in that way. And it's interesting, some of those moments like of creative differences or sharing that with people and getting feedback, because now it's become one of my most popular songs. And I still kept it very slow, and it's very, like, it could have gone so many different directions. And I think that is an interesting thing about making music, is like, you can take the same message and spin it so many different ways and make it so many different kinds of tempos. With I Am Enough, I was just thinking about that concept and thinking about how with children's music in particular, kids listen to the same songs over and over again. And then these lyrics are the ones that get stuck in your head and that you might find yourself saying in certain moments. You're really taking in these messages, whether or not you're super consciously aware of what everything means. And so when I started to write my own music for kids, I thought a lot about that. What is my opportunity and responsibility? How can I be very thoughtful about what messages I want to share in the world, knowing that kids are going to sing them over and over again. And I do have plenty of fun, silly songs about animals and all sorts of things. But for the most part, I have very, very preachy songs, very message-driven songs. But I have heard stories of where parents will tell me that something will happen and the kids will say the words of a song because it reminds them of it. And that's so beautiful. I love that.
Right here in the podcast, I'm going to put a bunch of clapping noise of just celebrating how cool that is.
Oh, thank you. The Chinese dumpling song actually is not an original. It's a childhood song that was from my mom's childhood. And I think even further back than that, it's a really old Chinese finger play song. And it was just one that I had sang with her a lot as a kid. And so I thought it'd be fun to share it.
That's so
It's
cool.
been really cool to see. Yeah, kids enjoy it. 炒鸡蛋，炒鸡蛋，炒炒炒。切萝卜，切萝卜，切切切。包饺子，包饺子，捏捏捏。煮饺子，煮饺子，煮好了。吃饺子，吃饺子，吃吃吃。
I think I have this right, but you said you work as like Mr. Rogers and AOC had a kid.
That was my branding for a long time. Yes,
Okay.
good
All right,
memory.
can you unpack that? Because I feel we're leaning into that right now. How would you describe that?
Yeah, it was something that a commenter on TikTok had written, and I thought it was really interesting. They were commenting on one of my videos saying it's if Mr. Rogers and AOC had a kid. Because in the video, I was talking about, I'm trying to remember what video in particular, but I make a lot of like social justice, community care songs, and sometimes explainer videos about hard topics. And so I think people were connecting with that and saying it feels so Mr. Rogers. And you're talking about some of these bigger issues in life. And Yeah. And so that was my tagline for a while.
What does it mean to you to be an Asian American artist making music?
Yeah. It's such a It's been a really interesting experience because I'm biracial. And so my mom is from Taiwan and my dad is white. And so I think in a lot of my life, I've been in between. I've been a bridge person with lots of different topics or in conversations and culturally. And I have loved the opportunity of being able to bring some of my childhood songs that I learned from my mom and have that in my work now, or sharing folk stories that I learned as a kid, and yeah, being able to share that with children. So I think that part comes really naturally because of how I was raised and having an appreciation for multiple cultures. I I always want there to be more representation. I always, with music and with a lot of the arts in general, you are accessing work through somebody's lived experience, regardless of whether they're speaking explicitly about whatever the topic may be, but it's through their perspective and how they view the world. And so I think the more that we can have a variety of those world's views, the better. And so I'm grateful to be in the space, and I want there to be more and more opportunities for folks of color and lots of marginalized identities to be able to, to be able to thrive and have their work seen and appreciated.
So agree. So what feedback around that perspective or representation that stuck with you?
Mm. Like feedback from how people are receiving the work. Yeah. It's been fun because I will have people reach out all the time saying, my child's favorite song of yours is this one that you and your mom sang about the Moon Festival, or like about this folk story of a monster named Nian, and that's around the Lunar New Year. And it always is so surprising to me when I hear that, because these are usually songs that I'm writing because of a holiday or some special event, and that it's given children even more points of access into maybe either cultures that they were not familiar with or practices they weren't familiar with, or ones that their family celebrates. And now they're seeing some of their peers learn about it, or their teachers using these songs in school. I've had lots of people reach out about that. It's been so beautiful to see them get really excited, especially with the Chinese dumpling song. That one is all in Mandarin. And
That song's
just to
so
hear
fun, by the way. I love it.
It's
I love
so
it. I love
it's
it.
so fun, and to hear the kids all just very loudly singing along and following along with the words in Chinese it's so exciting.
My body is important, and it knows how I'm feeling. So I care for my body, and my body cares for me. My body is important, and it knows how I'm feeling. So I care for my body, and my body cares for me. And my body cares for me.
So what's a moment with a child or family that absolutely wrecked you in the best way, that you maybe think about often or just really impacted you?
So many really beautiful moments. I think one that comes to mind is there was a family who originally reached out because they said, our daughter doesn't like music at all. They're like, we'll put on all sorts of music and she just immediately wants to stop. This is a really young child. And we're a little worried because we're not familiar with this. But what we've noticed is that sometimes when we play your music, she'll actually listen. And so we're going to try sharing more of your songs with her and just seeing how that goes. And over time, She started joining my music classes and being involved in my programs, and just now has such a rich, beautiful connection with music, will sing loudly all the time. And I think part of why that story moved me was because when I was beginning my work doing Miss Katie Sings, I was a little nervous about how people would respond to my style of music, because it was so quiet, so chill, very slow. And it's not what I was as familiar with in the children's media world. And I did wonder whether people would find it boring. And so when I hear stories of people really connecting with it, it makes me so happy. It's so validating in that way, because I like it and I want to be able to share it with the world. And so to know that some people also, it has been really gratifying.
So I can't help but think, if your younger self saw you now, what do you think she'd say?
I think she'd be thrilled. I think she'd be so excited. I also, in a way, don't think she would be surprised. Maybe surprised at the trajectory that I've been on, and that I'm specifically doing music with kids, and that I've gone that way. But
and cut an album and everything.
Yeah. But I think I have always been very creative. I've always been very scrappy, wanted to make things with whatever I had. And I think she would just be like, that makes sense. That makes sense you're doing that, because you've always done that. And you've always put yourself out there, and I'm proud of you, and I'm excited to turn into you. I think there would be a real excitement. Yeah, I'm so great. Like, in some ways my life has gone ways that I didn't expect, but I think at the root of it, it feels very me. It feels very aligned with what I've always cared about and wanted to do. And that feels really good.
What does your family think?
My family is super supportive. When I put up my first 20-minute video, my dad sent me an email that said, "I just watched your video, and I think this is the happiest I've been in a long time." Like, it's so you. And that was really beautiful to have that validated, and especially from someone who knows me obviously very well, that it just felt, oh, this makes sense. This clicks. It feels like such an extension of you. And they've been, very supportive the whole time. My mom has been in a lot of my videos. She's done songs with me. She's even done a show with me where she's performed and sang with me, or done hand motions. And that's been really very cool. It's been nice to have their support.
Let's just talk a little bit about the trajectory. So you started right when COVID shut down the world. So from now until, let's say, sometime this year, what's the 10,000 foot trajectory of how Miss Katie Sings has been evolving?
So much has happened. And I'm really grateful for how experimental I've been able to be within my business, because it started with me covering children's songs and then realizing, wow, I'm really invested in this space. And what do I want to say? And what songs do I want to write? And then I started writing all of my own music. I was doing virtual classes from the very beginning. And I still actually do some virtual programs. And most of the families, it's not that they don't have in-person programming, but some of the kids really love connecting with me and live all over the world. And this is a way that we can be together every week and do some songs. But in the beginning, or earlier on, I was doing a ton of classes, and that was really my main focus. And then as time has gone on, it's shifted into more live shows. I do library shows and events and parties, and I created an album with an incredible producer, Lucy Kalantari. She worked with me really closely on putting this album out. I have recently started doing a show, like my own hosted show, just on YouTube right now. But they're anything from anywhere between 12 and 20 minutes talking about different topics. And I write original songs and I host and I have a puppet, which is a snake plant. And I am doing it all from my home studio. And yeah, just creating a lot of different kinds of media.
Every time I mess up is a chance to grow. It's brave to tell the truth and let somebody know. Every time I mess up is a chance to share that I want to make things better and show how much I care.
All centered around music, but some are video-based and some are audio-based. I've done these things called sing-along stories, which are 20-minute guided storytelling music adventures where you pretend that you're camping or you pretend that you're at the beach. And so I've been able to do a lot of different things and just see what was fun for me. And I'm so grateful that people have been along for the ride because it's been very creatively exciting and fulfilling.
As a brand strategist, what I love most about you is I believe with all my soul that the reason this is happening because you're authentically you. So bravo, my friend.
You.
Last time I had the privilege to be in person with you, you were just about to leave, I think, to record the album, or it was coming up. So tell me a couple of things. What was that like? Where'd you go? Was it nerve-wracking? Was it exciting?
Yeah, it was so great. And I feel really grateful because my producer, Lucy, she's so wonderful. And she has a studio up in upstate New York. So I flew there for 2 weeks and just stayed there. And every day we would record and we would take breaks and then we'd come back and record some more. And it was just such a fun, it felt like camp. It felt this short period of time and we're just creating all this magic and we're seeing what comes up. And that was so fun for me. And I'm really grateful because I trust her a lot and she was very caring with my work and it got to just be fun and we could explore a lot together. So that was the 2-week period. And then as she was developing it some more, we had decided to do the final track of my album is a song where you visualize being at the beach and it's like a breathing song. You breathe in to smell the sea and you breathe out to blow the breeze. And there's a lot of storytelling, but it's so calming. And Lucy had the idea to have it mixed and mastered in Dolby Atmos, like an immersive listening experience. And so we worked with this really great mixer named Roger, and he is based in Spain. And so we actually all had the opportunity to go to Spain together to listen to it in his studio because his studio was rigged so that it could actually be an immersive experience designed specifically for that kind of listening. And so that was also just such a beautiful part of the journey. Yeah, and I'm really proud with how it came out.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I can't wait to share it.
Thank you.
In closing, tell me, what's your favorite song to perform or the one that makes you feel most alive?
I really do playing I Am Enough because it's a call and response song. And when I'm doing it live with a group, I invite everyone to sing it with me and you just repeat all the lines. And that one, it's just so special because a lot of times when I'm a performer in a space, there is the sense of this is the audience. They are listening. And here's the performer who is the one who has the spotlight. And as much as I can blur those lines, especially in that song, I really like it because we're singing it together. And then it's also an opportunity for me to share about, when we say I am enough, it means I can be loved exactly as I am. You can be loved exactly as you are. And I feel good sharing that message, remembering that for myself and having that collective experience.
So good. I remember someone was interviewing Mr. Rogers once and they asked him a similar question. So I'm going to ask you the same one. But if you could tell every child one thing, what would it be? Yeah, I'm leaving with just the big one.
Just because I'm saying this right now with thinking about I'm enough, I would say you are enough. You're growing and you're learning. And yes, things will shift and change, but you can be loved exactly as you are. I think that's really important for everyone to know.
Hopefully this doesn't sound creepy, but I'm just going to copy that audio and just put it on my phone so when I'm feeling bummed out, I can just...
Please do. Please.
So how can we support you and your work and continue to share your message? How can we best do that?
All of my work is online, streaming everywhere. So everything is under Miss Katie Sings, anywhere you listen to music, and then on YouTube and social media. Yeah, if you like the songs, share them with others. Yeah, I've made lots of different things, so there's plenty for everyone.
Katie, thank you so much for your time. You're such a gift.
Oh, thank you, Justin. Thanks so much for having me.
And I love me, and I'm so glad to be just who I am. There's only one me, and I love me. That's who I want to be. I care for myself, my mind and body.
I am still carrying so much from this conversation. And it's not just the music, but it's the intentionality, the kindness, and the quiet confidence Katie brings to everything she creates. A huge thank you to Miss Katie Sings for joining me and for allowing us to feature her music throughout this episode. If you felt moved by what you heard today, I hope you share it with someone who needs to be reminded they are enough. You can find all of Katie's music, videos, and upcoming shows at misskatiesings.com and follow her on YouTube, Instagram, and wherever you listen to music. Before we go, a huge thank you to Sleeping at Last for providing the soundtrack to our show. Brian's music brings so much depth and beauty to these conversations, and if you want more, visit sleepingatlast.com or search Sleeping at Last wherever you listen to music. And of course, a special shout out to our brilliant audio engineer, Steve Wick, who edited this show in his Mr. Rogers sweater.
The alphabet is fine, but it's what we do with it that matters most. Making words like friend and love. That's what really matters.
If this episode sparked something for you, please take a moment to leave us a rating or review on iTunes or wherever you listen. Share it with a friend, post about it. It helps us keep these stories going. Follow us on X at Design of Podcast and visit rule29.com to learn more about the show and the people behind it. Thanks for being here. And as always, keep noticing, stay curious, and design a life that matters.